Hi, hello everyone. Welcome to a vlog. This is the first vlog in a long time, and to be honest, I actually filmed a ton of vlogs. I filmed like at least 6 vlogs since the last one, but then for one reason or another, they didn't go up. Originally, I didn't put them up because originally I was like, okay, let's make the vlogs better. Let's add B-rolls and music and cuts and edits. So like I filmed a vlog and then I just never edited it and it's kind of fell to the back. And then I started filming vlogs and then it was busy. For whatever reason, they just never hit the website, hit the YouTube. So I will eventually make vlogs better, but I think right now the focus is just getting them out. And we have some stuff to talk about because we are nearing the end of the tea season. And what a tea season it was. What a tea season it was. Right now I'm drinking some Shanglor, which is hitting the website. It's actually already on the website. Going to talk about that soon. All right, so let's talk about this tea season. This tea season was something completely different. There were some good things. There were some bad things. There was a lot. So, first thing that was good was the new credit buying system, where instead of pre-ordering individual teas, you pre-ordered or you bought store credit, and you got a 20% return on whatever you spent. So if you bought $100, you got $120 in store credit. This was great. This was great for me because it gave me freedom. I wasn't tied to specific teas. You know, in the past, I've tasted a tea and not really liked it, or liked it, but maybe didn't love it. But because people had pre-ordered it, I had to buy it. You know, so this year I was able to really explore, taste things, say no to things, and that was awesome. This also gave tea buyers, from me, the customers, a lot of freedom too, because they weren't tied to a single tea. So they could buy the store credit, see what was coming, see what looked good, see what didn't look good, and then make a purchase based off that. And that was awesome. Definitely 9 out of 10. We're going to keep doing that next year. The problem with it was that people buying tea weren't sure when to spend the store credit because they weren't sure what was coming. They weren't sure when things were coming. You know, I kept saying that red teas were coming, but when were the red teas coming? You know, what green teas were coming? What was I going to find? I kept saying like I'm going to get this. I'm waiting for samples. And they were like, should I buy it now and lock in this tea before it sells out, or should I wait and spend the money on this other tea that might be even better? They weren't sure what to buy because they weren't sure what was coming and when. And they weren't sure what was coming and when because I wasn't sure what was coming and when. One of the things about the tea season, especially kind of that second half, you know, the green teas are pretty straightforward. You know what's coming. You know when they're going to be made, with a few exceptions. Bada bing, bada boom. Other teas that take a little bit longer and have a few more steps, the white teas, the red teas, those you're not sure. Because those, you don't know what's going to be good this year. You don't know how the weather's going to interact with the making. This year was much wetter, the weather was more rainy, and so I think I have red teas that are still not finished. And so people weren't sure what was coming and when, because I wasn't sure what was coming and when. So I thought of a way to fix this problem. Next year, what we're going to do is instead of releasing teas throughout the month, so instead of getting the Bilotron and then releasing it immediately, getting the Mao Feng, releasing it immediately, we're going to wait till the end of the month and release everything from that month at the end. So at the end of April is just going to be a giant green tea drop. This has 2 benefits. One, people know what's coming. People know what's coming. People know when to buy. They can say, they can look at all these teas, make a plan, and then a day or 2 before the tea gets dropped, they can say, okay, I'm going to get this tomorrow. and they know they're not going to miss anything. The benefit for me is that if I buy Bilochun in that first week of April, I then have 3 weeks to pack it up. I have 3 weeks to put it into individual baggies, put it into little boxes. So when those big rush of orders come in, the teas are set. I just have to go bang, 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 bang. There's an order. Bang, 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 bang. There's an order. Because that was another thing we're going to get to in a minute. A lot of work for me this season. Not a perfect system, even as I'm talking about it now. There are some flaws, especially when it comes to teas selling out. I have to figure out how to get accurate quantities in there, because what's going to mean, it's going to mean 10 people buy, 20 people, 30 people trying to buy Bilochon at the same time. That's going to be tricky. It's going to be very easy for that to sell out. Especially because the way Shopify works, there isn't I think there isn't really a quantity, like a weight way of doing it. So I can't really, I think you can, but it's a little tricky to tell Shopify, okay, I have 1 pound of this. So when people buy 10 grams, 30 grams, 50 grams, it takes it out of that 1 pound. Right now, the way it's set up is its quantity. So I have 10 8-gram packets. I have 10 30-gram packets, 10 50-gram packets, which is not, it's not always that straight. It's not, and that's just not what I have. I have 10 pounds loose leaf that I can pack up. So we'll see. Though the pre-packing might actually prevent that. So good, we'll see. We'll get to that. Number two. So second thing about this year, good and bad. So many more orders this year. And I am honestly so thankful for this, so grateful, because I know that so many of these orders came from recommendations. I know it came from people saying, hey, you got to try Sweetest Dew. Oh, you got to try the Mao Fengs. I had the Bai Mudan. It was amazing, blah, blah, blah. So grateful for that. And it was funny, going into the season, I could kind of feel that more orders were coming as compared to last year. I was like, okay, this is going to be a little more busy. I did not expect this many more orders. And this was one of the problems where, kind of midway through May, early May, orders were coming in, and I kept expecting them to slow down. I kept expecting to be like, all right, it's going to be 1 or 2 more days of this, and then it'll slow down, then it'll stop. It didn't. And it took me about midway through May, a week or 2 into May, and I was like, oh, damn, this is not slowing down. This is it. This is the vibe. This is the rate. And that's when I really kicked packaging more into gear. But in general, orders were slow. Orders got shifted, like orders fell through the cracks. I thought I packed something up, but I didn't pack something up. I packed something up twice. So that next year is going to be, once again, that's also going to be partially prevented with the pre-order, with the end of month drop. But also I figured out this year, I learned a lot about little tricks in Shopify, how to keep track of things, how to know what's gone out, what's not gone out, what I still need to pack. When a customer says, hey, I forgot this, blah, 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 blah. So that's going to be good. Let's talk about the teas this year. The teas this year were very interesting. This was a Huang Shan year. And I knew it was going to be a Huang Shan year. That was kind of my goal going in. Going into this tea season, I was like, you know what? The last year or so, I haven't really been representing Huang Shans. I got to represent. I got to get back to Huang Shan, and I got to do it. So I went back to Huang Shan. Went back Qingming. 2 things. One, a little too early for Mao Feng. This was a disappointing part. I thought when it came to Mao Feng, I would be like on the button, perfect timing, get to watchmaking, and get the great teas fresh. 4 or 5 days too early. I saw some tea making, picked up some teas. Generally, though, it was too early, and I came back. I walked through a lot of tea regions empty-handed. But I did get to Jupu, and I got my hands on some amazing I got my hands on some good Dingu Dafang, and we're going to talk about that in a second. Dingu Dafang slash Huang Shan Longjing. Um, that was great. Uh, and then the other, I think so that was a big win for this because the Dingu Dafang, the Huang Shan Longjing, was very affordable, very good price, and I think people really appreciate that. I got a bunch of it. It's been one of the more popular teas this season, and I have still a ton left. To the point where I was like, wow, I ordered a lot of this. Or like almost to the point where like, wait, did they send me too much? They sent I have a lot left. Um, but I think for me personally, the big win of this season was when I was in Tanko, I stayed at this Airbnb, and the woman there happened to be a local woman, but a tea lover. And this is very interesting because what you have to understand about tea regions is not everyone in the tea region is a tea lover. Like everyone drinks tea, everyone knows tea, but they kind of drink it and know it because they grew up around it. Just like if I was born in the Champagne area of France, I would just have this understanding of champagne because I drank it since I was young and my parents drank it and everyone talked about it and my region was made for it. I probably helped parents, I helped people make it. I grew up in the vineyards, yada yada yada. So really in any tea region, you have people who are in the market and in the business because they like tea, but they also just kind of grew up with it and they're not really really geeky about it. But then you get people who are, even for the local standards, are geeky about it. So this woman is one. I know a woman in Anxi who's geeky about Tia Kuan Yin. And these people get some of the best teas. These people get some of the best teas because these are the people who have the passion and have the desire, but also have the knowledge and the connects. And they can very quickly jump to the good stuff. They can, their uncle, brother, they know someone. Your uncle's brother is actually still their uncle. I was like, their uncle's brother. Okay, their uncle or their father, right. Their uncle's friend has these really cool bushes. Their grandmother's friend's daughter has, they can really get in there and quickly find really good stuff. My Tia Kuan Yin connect. My Tia Kuan Yin is because of one of these types of people, and this B&B owner in Huang Shan, she has gotten me some amazing stuff. And in both of these cases, it's two women who are encouraging their fathers to do something a little extra. They're encouraging their fathers to go organic, to do wild fields, to go get that wild tea, yada, 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 which is super, super cool. Yeah, that's really awesome. That's really, really awesome. So from her, I got a wild field Mao Feng, which is awesome. And then I got a completely wild Mao Feng. And a completely wild means it never came from a field. Wild field is somebody made a field, they planted Mao Feng, and then for whatever reason, the field went wild. It's organic, they don't pesticides. The bushes have gone untrimmed. Other plants have worked their way in. Usually a very good ecosystem is there. That's wild field. But it still is a field. Someone still cut down trees, planted in rows, yada, yada, yada. Completely wild is like in the woods. These seeds traveled via wind, via bird poop. However seeds travel, they get planted in the forest. And they're scattered. They're not in one field. And one of the reasons wild teas are so expensive is that makers have to go find these trees. They have to go, it's not, one tree's over here and then maybe another one's over there and another one's over there. So, yeah, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work, and it's usually something that's done after the main season. Because during the main season, when all the Mao Fengs are growing and picking, they're not going to focus on that. They're going to focus on their main production. So, for me personally, I have to say, the completely wild Mao Feng is probably one of the best Mao Fengs I've ever had. And this is a really, really tricky thing to say because this is very personal. I am saying this as someone who spent 5 years in Huang Shan, tasted a shit ton of Mao Fengs, have a really deep understanding of Mao Fengs, though it got deeper this year. And with all these data points and all these points of reference, I can taste this Mao Feng and say, wow, this is amazing. But the tricky part is when you get to this level of tea, especially for I think greens, with Yansha it's a little bit easier, oolongs it's a little bit easier, but especially with greens, you get to this level and it's a lot less straightforward. You know, the difference between a basic tea and a good tea is huge. The difference between a good tea and a great tea is big. Once you pass great, the way it gets better and how you judge if a tea is better, one is better than the other, or you judge it when you've already established it's a great tea, it's clean, it's full, blah, blah, blah. But how you judge it up there gets really, really tricky. And it gets personal, and there's a lot of, it's not, I think it's the best that I've ever had. I know, though, if I give it to other people, they might not think so, or they might not be as impressed. Or, you know, maybe it's the best Mao Feng they've ever had, but they've only had 2 or 3 Mao Fengs. They don't really get excited over that. My water here. And that's another thing I thought about this season is, you know, so another example of this. Okay. So one thing I thought about this season is how to talk about expensive teas. So that's one expensive tea. Another expensive tea is the Dingu Dafang. I have a completely handmade wild field Dingu Dafang. And so when I was in Jupu and I was watching this guy make tea, I saw that outside of his shop it said Huang Shan Longjing. And I was like, why do you call it Longjing? Why do you not call it Dingu Dafang? And he said they only call it Dingu Dafang if it's completely handmade. And this is completely handmade. And I want to talk about this. And in here, there's something really, really interesting. So, and this is something else I learned. And something I didn't understand what that meant until I saw the leaves. And I was like, oh, I get it. So, this is handmade Dingu Dafang, right? Now, what am I getting at here? Why does this tell me why they don't call the other one Dingu Dafang? Most Dingu Dafangs, when they come from machine, they look like Longjing. You know, if side by side, the Dingu Dafang, the Huang Shan Longjing on the website, put it next to a Shifu Longjing, they're going to look exactly the same. This one doesn't. This one, if you ever, look at this again. If you ever see a Huang Shan Longjing that looks like this, fucking run. That is not Longjing. And the reason I wasn't sure why they called it Huang Shan Longjing is because from what I had read, Dingu Dafang was the first green tea to do this flattened shape, which is now common in Longjing, in Hokwei, in multiple teas. That stir-fried flat shape was started by Dingu Dafang. So originally I was like, wait, if you started the shape, why are you calling it Huang Shan Longjing? Why are you calling it Longjing? And like, oh, because that shape is the Longjing shape. Yes, Dingu Dafang is a flattened tea with similarities to Longjing, but the true Dingu Dafang shape is not the Longjing shape. 2 different things. So that was very interesting. So, talking about expensive teas, we have 2 Dingu Dafangs. We're just going to call them Dingu Dafangs, but you know the nuance there. We have 2 Dingu Dafangs. One of them is very affordable, $10-ish per ounce. The other one is not. The other one I think I have on the website for about $30 an ounce. I think I went $25 an ounce on this one. And that's because the flavors are so much subtler there. And it's fresher, it's crisper, but the flavors aren't as bold. They're not as straightforward. And so this becomes tricky because, once again, I personally see the difference and appreciate the difference. And I think that's the main thing. I think anyone can see the difference, but I can look at this and in my opinion, I say, yes, this is worth being 3 times the price, 4 times the price. I see this, to me, is worth the price. Is everyone else going to say that? Maybe not. Somebody might call it bland. Somebody might call it a little bit boring. Somebody probably will. Just on Discord, somebody being smart will. But so what do you do with that? How do you approach these higher quality teas, or these more expensive teas? And I use the term higher quality, even though there's nuance. Even though we're touching on the nuance of what is quality in this conversation. But objectively higher quality teas. How do you touch on that? How do you approach that? How do you talk about that? How do you work that into selling? And yeah, there's a lot that goes in there. Especially this year, I have talked. I think also because of this year, I've just talked so much about daily drinkers and grandpa style and how much I appreciate that. It's been a while since I was like, no, this shit's expensive and good and maybe not for everyone. And so how to talk about both in the same company. It's doable. It's doable, but I have to really take a look at this. I got to really take a look at this. I really got to take a look at this and think about it. I think it's just something. There's going to be some experimentation. There's going to be some seeing what people think, trying some things, experimenting. Pricing is going to be a little bit different. So the Dingu Dafang I did. So I marked it up. I first gave it its normal markup, and the normal markup for what I paid would be about $30 an ounce if I were to put it on the website. But I was like, you know what? I think that's going to be a touch too high. I think a lot of people are going to drink this and say, this wasn't really worth the $30 an ounce. So I brought it down to $25, which for me, I think is a really good price. But I also grew up. I didn't grow up. I spent years working at Tea Drunk, and so I have a different idea of what affordable is and what teas should be. For me personally, anything under $15 is cheap. $15 for 30 grams. Anything below that is cheap. I wouldn't complain, but I also know that not everyone thinks that, and I want people. That's the main thing about we talk about pricing, is we want to have people to get their money. You want people to think they got their money's worth for the price, no matter the price. That being said, I am not afraid to give a high price. The completely wild Huang Shan Mao Feng, $40 an ounce. That's $1.50 per gram. That tea is not for everyone. That tea is not for everyone. But that is a tea, I think, for the people who are willing to pay a high price for green teas. They like green teas. They have experience in green teas. They like expensive teas. They take the time to enjoy expensive teas, and they understand teas are expensive. All of that. They're going to drink it, and they're going to be like, oh yeah, I get it. I see what this is. For people who are focused on daily drinkers, I don't think they're going to appreciate it in the same way. So that was one, like I said, the Huang Shan Mao Feng on the website is probably the best Mao Feng I've ever had. Which is funny because it's a slow burn. It's not like you take a sip and you're like, okay, vegetal, clean, refreshing, bit of this, a little bit of floral, that's okay. But then you swallow and you sit there for a second and the huigan comes, the sweet, the comeback sweetness. And there's a lingering floral aroma. And you realize that your mouth is coated with this oiliness. And you're sitting there and you're just like, oh damn, this is amazing. So I don't use the best Mao Feng I've ever had lightly. It wasn't immediately the best Mao Feng I ever had, but it's one where you sit there with it and you're like, yeah, this is really good actually. Yeah, holy shit. Just it, you just recognize it doesn't explode with amazingness, but you just recognize like, fuck, that's really good. That's really good. So, whew, so yeah, that was this tea season in a nutshell. Um, I'm trying to write about it. I'm trying to do posts about it, but there's a lot. There's a lot. All right. Quickly, things coming up. I am leaving Fuding in probably about 2 months. I have one more month of school. Probably going to hang around here for one more month, and then I'm out. And then I'm leaving. Jobs. I am close to getting jobs. I'm waiting for offers. I'm waiting for I've had multiple interviews. As a foreign teacher, the job market is trickier this year. Economic slowdown, people aren't spending money like they used to because of COVID, because of the housing crisis. I watched a video the other day that said, 70% of Chinese people have a second home. They have money in real estate where the real estate isn't doing so great. So yeah, things are taking a little bit longer. It's a little bit stressful on my end, I'm not gonna lie. But I think I'm close. Hopefully I'm close to getting some offers. Hopefully in Hangzhou. I'm waiting on 2 offers from Hangzhou. And if I don't get these offers from Hangzhou and there's nothing in Suzhou, I might try for Chengdu. Well, actually, I did see a job in Yixing. So we'll see. We'll see. There's a lot going on. But it's seeming like I'm moving this summer, and that's gonna put the subscription box at a weird point, because the next subscription box is supposed to go out in August, which is gonna be just a financially tricky time for me, in the sense that I would have just moved. It's between moving and getting my first paycheck. So depending on how my money is, and it might be okay. It might be okay. That's one thing. But also there's the question of what the fuck am I don't even know what to do. I don't even know what teas. Do I want October to be Wu Shan. I don't want to go to Wu Shan too early, and there not to be any teas. Or not the full breadth of what Wu Shan can offer. But white teas maybe? I don't know. But we'll see. All right. So I am going to close this video. I'm going to put it right up on YouTube, because I actually filmed this yesterday, went to put it on YouTube today, and the file just wasn't there. So I've really been trying to put these on the website, put these on YouTube. Content is coming, articles are coming. I'm caught up on orders, basically. Some orders have to go out today, but then I'm basically caught up, except for the newest ones. Yeah, so I really appreciate all the orders, all the support, all the patience. So much patience this tea season, as I befumbled shipping times and wait times for super long. I really appreciate all of that. Yeah. All right, thank you very much. I appreciate all of you. See you next time.